This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Now that little solo there is relevant to what we're talking about today. I was using some triads in that solo, just some triad bass licks, not exclusively, but there were a few cropping up in there. And that, as I say, feeds into today's question. It's Wednesday, you see, Wednesdays we deal with viewers' questions. If you have any questions or queries of a guitar or music-related nature, then get in touch. You can see the website address there at the top of the screen, link in the description. Use the contact form there to drop me an email and with your question, or just get in touch via email, jrguitartuition@gmail.com. And who knows? Your question could feature in one of these videos. One chap who did get in touch is a very good friend of this channel. You always see him on the Friday live stream in the chat there, and often in the comment section below most of my videos. Chap called Johnny Random, and this was his question.
Hi John, I was wondering if you have any simple way of working out triads on the second, third and fourth strings. Majors and minors I've got the hang of, but what about augmented and diminished chords?
So there you go, triads. That is the nature of the question. Well, I'll tell you what, here's a little bit of an explanation, then I've got a bit more info after that.
Here is the explanation.
Okay, triads on the second, third and fourth strings. That's the question, and that's the context. I'm going to explain it in here, but you could equally apply this to any sets of strings. The way that I get into this is I just think in terms of basic, like bar chord shapes, really. So, for instance, there's a major chord. So let's take the portion of that that's on the second, third and fourth strings. There we go. Now, if you know that that is essentially going root, third and fifth, then that's a good starting place to work from. Okay? Because if you take a major chord, root, third, fifth, that's the fifth there on the second string, and in any major chord, if you raise the fifth by a semitone, so just by doing that, or probably then refinger it like that, that's an augmented triad. Okay? Likewise, if you take this minor chord here, basic minor bar chord, and again that's going root, there's the flat third of the chord, there's the fifth, so root, third, fifth, and in a minor chord, if you flatten the fifth, you've now got a diminished triad. So again, just for the sake of convenience, refinger it. There we go. So there's major, raise the fifth, get augmented. There's minor, flatten the fifth, get diminished. And then you can start playing around with other chord shapes as well. So for instance, there's a major chord, like that. Now, just taking that portion of that chord, that major triad that's on the second, third and fourth strings. Again, what we've got here is the root is now on the third string, root, third is on the second string, and the fifth is on the fourth string. Keeping track of the numbers there. So again, if we want to turn that into an augmented chord, there's the fifth there, and just raise it by one semitone. And that gives us exactly the same shape as we had previously. for an augmented chord. Let's look at a minor chord. There's a minor chord. This would be D minor, and if we just take that part of it there, once again the root is on the G string, the third is on the B string, and the fifth is on the D string. So just take the fifth, we've identified where the fifth is, drop it down a semitone, refinger the shape slightly, but essentially that's all we're doing, is dropping this note here, the fifth, down a semitone. That's a diminished triad, and there's your root there in the same place as it was when we were playing it as a minor chord. That hasn't changed. There's your diminished triad shape. So anytime you can identify a major or a minor chord, and you can identify where the fifth is, because that's what makes the difference here. In a major chord, raise the fifth to get an augmented. In a minor chord, lower the fifth or flatten the fifth to get the diminished. You can do this. Let's look at one more example. Here is a D minor chord down here. That's the chord we've been looking at up here. There's D minor, and just on the first, second and third strings, but we want this on the second, third and fourth. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this F note here and move it down an octave to here. So that note migrating over to there gives me this shape. So I've got root, third and fifth. And once again, there's the fifth. It's on the G string. Move it down a semitone. I've now got a diminished triad. One final example. There's a D chord, D major chord. There's the third there. I'm going to bring this down onto the fourth string like this. So I'm going to get that shape there, like that, fairly familiar shape. And what we need to do is raise the fifth. Well, we've got root, third and fifth. Move the fifth up a semitone. And what do you know? We keep coming back to that same augmented shape like that. So there's the basic way of doing it. Just take a basic common or garden major or minor triad, usually based on a bar chord or something. Identify where the fifth is, and if it's a minor chord, flatten it, you'll get diminished. If it's a major chord, raise it and you'll get an augmented. So there you go. Now you know what to do. Go away and have some fun with it. So there you go. That's how you form the triads. That's how you find where they are. Now, what do you use them for? Well, I've done plenty of videos in the past on, music theory, what chords are in keys and so on like that, and modes and all that kind of stuff. That kind of thing is way beyond the scope of this video. So go and dig those videos out if you are interested in that sort of thing. But basically, briefly, if you're in the key of G major, for example, then you've got your 1, 4 and 5 chords, G, C and D, and you've got each of those major chords has a minor chord, relative minor. So the relative minor of G is E minor, the relative minor of C is A minor, and the relative minor of D is B minor. So you've got those 6 chords, G, C, D, E minor, A minor, B minor, and there's one other one as well, an F sharp diminished. Those are all of the chords in the key of G major. And you can, if you're playing a solo in the key of G major, you can use those triads as part of your soloing vocabulary. It's what I was doing in that solo at the top of the video, and it just lends a slightly different sound to proceedings. There's something, just because of the wider intervals involved in when you're playing a triad as opposed to going up and down a scale or noodling around a scale, it just sounds just that little bit different and perhaps more interesting. Give it a go. If you're interested in learning some of the licks that were in that solo at the top of the video, then there is a full tab for the solo in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats, along with a clip of me playing it and a jam track for you to play along with for yourself, and that little explanation clip that we've just seen there. All of that is up on my Patreon page. There's the address and the link is in the description. $3 or £2.50 a month gets you access to all of these additional goodies that go along with these YouTube videos. A massive, massive thank you to everybody who supports me in that, or any of the other ways, all of which are, where, linked down below. And that is pretty much the video for today, folks. Hope you found it informative and useful in some small way, and if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. Why not drop me a like while you're at it? Don't forget the live stream, as I said earlier, every Friday, 5 p.m. UK time, where we drink beer and talk about music and guitars. Great way to kick off the weekend. I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.